And we are live. Fantastic. My name is Axel Lindgren and I work at the Houdini headquarters here in Stockholm. But today we are streaming live from the beautiful Rosendal Gardens right outside the city. And this is a place of special significance for us at Houdini, and I will tell you a story about that later. This event is something that we had originally planned for our studio in the showroom at the headquarters here in Stockholm. But we decided we needed to move outside because we wanted more space, more fresh air. So what was the solution? As you can see, it's the weather in Sweden in November is not very reliable. So the solution was to ask our friends at Rosendal if they had something for us. And now we actually have a full beautiful greenhouse that we can use. So we have the fresh morning air flowing through the room. We have plenty of space for ourselves and the models. And we hope that you guys will like it. And I have to say, today is a very special event because it's the first time ever that we take our collection launch for next season to the public. Normally, this is an internal event for agents, distributors, retailers, and there's a lot of hush-hush around it because, of course, it's the garments that come out in almost a year. But we thought since we already have a digital event planned and since we have nothing to hide, why not invite anybody that's interested? So I want to give a warm welcome to all our customers, our business partners, our social media followers, whoever you are, even our competitors, because I know you're there. But I'm really happy that everybody's tuned into the stream. So I thought now we'll go inside, we'll take a look at the space, and I will introduce the team. All right, so here we are, the greenhouse. I actually saw a little bird flying in earlier. Maybe she will be with us this full hour. But with me today, I have Hanna Lindblad, our head of sales, and you are here as our seasoned vet. You know everything there is to know about Houdini, and you will help us answer some questions during the stream.
Yep.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And we have Jesper Danielsson, our head of design, and you are the one that will take us through the collection and show us the products that we're going to look at a little bit later. So how are you guys feeling today?
Feels fantastic. Airy, nice, an autumn day, beautiful.
It is beautiful in Swedish terms, at least.
Yes, in Swedish terms, that's true.
There we are.
Yeah.
There's the bird. No, I also feel really inspired. Inspired to be in such an amazing place, but also inspired to be able to share so much of our work today. I hope you will be inspired by the end of the day as well.
Yeah. And one more thing that I'm going to say is that, as I hope you have noticed, we have a live chat here next to the player. And in the live chat, we also have the fourth musketeer in our team that you will meet a little bit later. She's called Emma, and she's our social media manager. She's going to take care of you in the live chat, and she's also your ambassador towards us. So she will take up your questions and relay them to Jesper and the product team later. I know there's a whole bunch of Houdini people lurking around there in the chat, so I'm sure that any question you have, they're more than happy to answer. I know we have a German guy, an Italian guy, so don't be shy. And I feel like it would be a lot more fun if we have a conversation going in the chat. So don't be shy. You don't have to be smart or anything. Just like shoot out any comments, questions, feelings. Actually, what I want to do now is I want to do a quick live poll. So I would like to know where you guys are located. So if you could do this for me, just type hi and then wherever you're from. And I'm actually really curious about who we have here. And I can read it right here. France, very nice. Trygve, that sounds Norwegian. We have some people from Sweden here, of course. All right. Whoever you are, I'm really happy that you're here. Now, before we dive into the collection, I want to ask you, Jesper, a little bit about the development process. So give me the sort of the best thing that happened during the development and the worst thing that happened.
I think the worst thing is an easy one. COVID shifted everything upside down, but I think the cool thing to see is really how the team approached the whole thing and going to above and beyond basically to create even better products, even better concepts, colors and fabrics than what we've done before. So it's not fun to see what's happening around us, but it's really cool to see how the team is working with it and creating something beautiful out of it.
Yeah, nice. And that actually ties into what I wanted to ask you about, Hanna, because you have a lot of sort of a helicopter view of Houdini, and so the whole, like, obviously the world is a pretty special place right now with lockdowns and everything. And if you could try to sort of summarize how that affects us, what would you say then?
Yes, I would say yes. It affects us all and the whole world, of course. And we have been done a lot of changes in Houdini, and I think many of those are really, really good. We amplified where we're going. We are going much more digital. The fact that we can be here today with all of you guys, it's fantastic from the whole world. We are many, many more on an event like this than if it's physical. And the fact that we can be outside or outside in this fantastic greenhouse, it's magic, I think. So many things that come together, but of course it's also troublesome out in the world. But we'll go through it.
Yes, we will take us.
Yes.
Right. So now I'm going to ask you, Jesper, to just in a short while move over and set up together with the models. And then Hanna, we will see more of you later during the Q&A session at the end.
Yep.
But before we move into the product part of this presentation, we have our first message from the world out there. Because since we couldn't really be here in person, we gave our friends and families some missions. We asked them to record videos on certain topics. And the first one comes from Niklas Bornling, in Portland, Oregon. And Niklas is a new member of the team. He is our head of brand engagement and direct-to-consumer sales, if you want to try and say that quickly 10 times over. He's been in the industry for over 20 years and led the marketing for a number of global brands. But he's only been with Houdini for about 2 months. So what we asked him to do is to try to answer the very important question of why does Houdini exist? And here's what he sent us.
Hi, my name is Niklas Bornling and I live in beautiful Portland, Oregon in the United States. I've got the great honor working with marketing and e-commerce at Houdini. Today, I want to address something that I think all companies should consider. Why do we exist? What is our role in this world, and why should anybody care about what we do? You'd be surprised by how many big brands that have absolutely no idea why they exist or why they're in business, apart from making a profit, obviously. When I think about Houdini, there is one thing I always come back to, and that is change. We are the change makers of outer apparel, of fleece jackets and base layers and shells, of maybe business models and maybe even society itself. And when we look around us, we see a lot of things that are not working. How we make things, how we do business, how we treat each other, and how we treat our planet. Our goal is ultimately to create a better future. And right now, that means changing the things that don't work. But what do I mean when I say change? It's not about creating news. That's relatively easy. Anyone can make some superficial changes and call it news. But never mistake news for real change. And I'm going to be bold and say that 99% of all the news that we produce as an industry changes absolutely nothing. So creating positive and lasting change is incredibly hard because you need to see beyond the superficial and look deep into the way that stuff work. And do you know what the real ingredient for change is? It's imagination. skill to see beyond what you have in front of you and picture something different. In fact, I believe that's one of the most important skills for a professional in any trade, be it a designer or an artist, naturally an artist, but also a businessman or a scientist. To see that which doesn't exist, or an alternative, better version of something. I think this is what we've always been doing at Houdini. Since the start in 1993, our job has been to reimagine outdoor apparel. How can we change this industry into something that is a better service to ourselves, but also in service of nature itself and the world around us? What if we can make clothes from what others consider to be trash? This entire outfit here is made from post-consumer recycled polyester and can be recycled over and over again, just like a PET bottle. In fact, we don't have to take from our limited natural resources anymore. On the contrary, our production can save valuable materials from landfills or incinerators. So what goes into a product is important, but also what comes out of it. So what happens to our garments when they're worn out? What can you do with your ski jacket when it's worn out? Our Lena jacket here, a shell jacket made from 100% merino wool, is completely biodegradable, which means that after you've used it to climb mountains for many years, you could compost the fabric and use it to grow tomatoes. But what if you didn't have to buy that jacket at all? We've offered rentals as a subscription program since 2007, creating ways to share our garments instead of owning them, and turning the normal logic of consumption impact upside down. Instead of using resources, we can just borrow them for a while. Right now, clothes are not made to last. They're designed to break and quickly be replaced. And we do everything we can to be a counterweight to that way of doing things. Our Power Hoodie was launched almost 20 years ago, and we have customers that still use hoodies from this first batch. Instead of designing sport-specific garments that are quickly replaced, we design versatile garments made to last forever. Some people think Houdini garments have a high price. Beg to differ. I disagree. If you count the cost per use, it's a definite bargain. Change can be hard. Let me tell you about a casualty of change. This is the Moonwalk shorties here. It's one of our real hits. We've carried it since 2015 and it's been a big success for us. People love to have a warm butt, and that's exactly what this does for them. Now it's dead. We took it out in the new fall collection. Why? Because it's not recyclable. One of the biggest changes we're trying to achieve is to end the era of linear products and businesses and move into a circular era. And to challenge the very idea of resources and eliminate the concept of waste. And this is not easy. The last 300 years since the Industrial Revolution, we've been extracting resources, made stuff, and then thrown it away as soon as we're done with them. So meet the new Moonwalk shorts. They look pretty similar to the Moonwalk shorties. The name is confusingly close. They still warm people's butts, but now they're circular. Most people wouldn't even know the difference. Some might not even consider it new. But this product has changed. If we manage to see beyond the obvious, it is in fact completely reimagined. Transforming our company from linear to circular is our main goal right now. And we started this journey in 2003, when our first base layer made with recycled fabrics was launched. Back then, that was our only circular product. Now, 81% of our collection is made using circular fabrics. It's counting. And we aim to reach about 100%. In fact, we aim to reach exactly 100% within a few years from now. But what happens then? What is the next step? Where do we stop? And the answer is never. Because this is what we do. This is why we exist. The reason why Houdini exists is to reinvent, to reshape, reimagine our product, our company, our industry, and maybe the world around us. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining this stream. None of this is possible without your support and engagement. We need you guys. Always let us know what you think of what we're doing. Never be afraid to come to us with ideas and suggestions on how we can be better or what needs to be reimagined. We're in this together. And I know that many of us find ourselves trapped in a society that is destructive in many ways. But things can change. In fact, they are changing right now here in the US. It's a beautiful thing. And we all have a role to play. Thank you.
Thank you for those words and thoughts, Niklas. But now it's time to step in and start our first product and show our first product. And the first one out is the new Pace jacket and Pace pants. It's a light soft shell for how high output energy. Oh, that's a hard thing to say. It's a light soft shell. And I thought that maybe I can ask you, Jesper, to take us through the thinking and the concept behind the product.
Thanks, Axel. I'll try to say those words a little bit later on. But first, I would like to take you on a journey. The journey of when we reimagined performance. When you're in this situation, what is it that really matters? We live in an era of constant measuring. Our experience of sports are boiled down to the stats that we see on our devices. Clothes are judged by the numbers from lab tests, rather than how they actually feel to wear. Somewhere in this age of data, we lost track. We lost track of what really matters, the human experience. We believe that we need to stop counting, and we need to start feeling. We don't design for scales, for data. We have a very different approach. We design for that actual experience. That is what should count. So the first step, designing beyond the numbers. Today, products are made to reach certain standards. We reach them, but that's not the important part. We don't develop products and design products for those numbers. We don't sell our products with those numbers. The lightest garment is not always the garment that feels the lightest. We need to design for all senses. What's the touch against the skin? What makes you feel light, feel strong, feel fast? How does it move with the body? And how well does it regulate temperature? What sound does it make? What's really the sound of performance? The fit and the weight of your body. When you feel better, you do better. What does performance look like? We need to challenge the known norm. We need to challenge the norm of bells and whistles, allowing you to feel fast, strong, and light, no matter the occasion. And finally, we need to cherish how it works with our planet. A Houdini garment should not only feel good to wear, it should also feel good to purchase, reensuring that it's adding to the world becoming a better place. Because when you feel good, you do good. And something that really feels good is this new soft shell fabric, which Axel was referring to a second ago. We call it the C9 Octa soft shell. It's a composite, and it's built out of two components. The first one, our C9 ripstop. It's recycled polyester that we perfected to have the optimal balance between air permeability, lightness, and durability. It's equipped with a fluorocarbon-free DWR, and it's gotten a new friend today, a friend with a warp-knitted fleece, which is made from monofilaments. Those monofilaments have a specific shape. It's basically a hollow fiber with 8 small legs on them, due to the octa name. And they're basically designed to pick up moisture and to keep you warm better than anything else. And how they're constructed into a fleece, it's basically continuous loops on the backer of that fleece. So rather than napping and shearing, this way we make sure that the fleece won't shed. So we're not having an issue with the microfibers in this garment. These two silent fabrics together create a perfect mix of a mechanical stretch that are then paired together with a dot glue for optimal comfort, allowing you to push further without noticing it. Let's have a more detailed look onto the models. This style, as Axel was referring to, is really created to go through those high pulse activities in cold weather. Ski touring, mountaineering, hiking, snowshoeing. It's a garment that grows from its minimalism, becoming a versatile tool. And the idea is to create enough protection from harsh weather and at the same time give your body full freedom to breathe and to perform without becoming overheated. So let's run through them from top to bottom. First, here on Kalle, you see the higher collar, which is created in the soft shell. And on top of that, you see the small storm hood. So as Kalle is opening up, you'll see how this C9 hood comes up, and it's that pull-out hood that you need when the weather switches instantly. You see the harness-compatible pockets. They sit quite high, and they're created a little bit bigger than usual to be able to fit your skins internally as well. And here you can also see the fit. The articulated sleeves that are allowing you to move without any restrictions, but still keep a snug silhouette. Looking then at the pant, it's also the same approach to the fit, allowing you to layer with a thin base layer underneath if you'd like to. At the top of the waist, you see the flat adjustment with an internal elastic on the back, keeping it a low profile, so you won't feel it no matter your activity. On the thighs, you have the C9 pockets where you can stash things, and next to it you have basically the vent to allow you to go even further and even harder in any conditions, no matter the temperature, because really this product is an all year round product. And at the lower leg, you'll find a gusset together with a volume adjuster, which allows you to wear basically any boots, no matter if you're out running like the guys were heading out today, or if you're pairing it with your lighter ski touring boots. So with that said, Axel, are you excited to try these out?
I am. And I'm also excited to present our fourth member of the team. And now I have Emma with me here.
Hi.
You guys' ambassador here in the greenhouse. So how's the temperature in the chat? Do we have any questions for Jesper yet?
Not so much. People are really tuning in from all over, which is great. But I would really encourage you guys, if you have any questions, we are ready here to answer them live for you. We did just get some really nice comments. Actually, there's one question here from Louise that asks how we work with chemicals when we use waste material. What are the challenges that we face there? So maybe that's something you can help us with, Jesper.
Sorry, what kind of materials? The bird just flew by my ears, I couldn't hear you, sorry.
How do we work with chemicals when using waste material? What are the challenges?
For us, it's really about looking at it holistically. We work with Bluesign as a business partner, but we also look beyond that. We look at the most current research, and we eliminate chemicals that we feel don't fit, creating our own standard, which is higher than the Bluesign in terms of what chemicals there are in our products. I'm sure Emma can share some more documents in the chat where we're digging more into detail about it. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you, Jesper. And now we're not quite done with the Pace jacket and pants yet, because we have our first field report. And this one comes from Andrea Tomasini and Italy. Andrea is also a relatively new member of the Houdini team, but he's a real legend within the outdoor community in Europe. And he also happens to live right in the Italian Dolomites. So we sent him a couple of samples of the Pace jacket and pants and asked them to take it for a spin, give us his thoughts, and record it for us. So here's Andrea's first impressions of the Pace jacket.
Hi, my name is Andrea Tomasini, and I'm part of the wholesale team at Houdini. I find myself in Italy at the moment, in the middle of the Dolomites, and more precisely in the Fannes Natural Park. This is where I live and where I like to spend my free time doing all kind of stuff, from skiing, running, hiking, or even riding my bike in the summer. Today is a beautiful day, no cloud to be seen, so I decided to go for a short hike just behind my house. What I'm wearing today is the base jacket and pants, which are part of the new Fall 21 collection. Without going too much into details, the numbers, what you notice immediately wearing this and using this product combination is the extreme comfort that it provides. The fabric package is super soft, wind resistant, but highly breathable. Inside there is a fleece insulation with an hexagonal design that is bringing additional warmth but needed. It's built to minimize the microfiber shedding and is moving the moisture away. Two front pockets, deep front pockets in the front, with a lot of space to even put your skin in the winter. The pants have two front pockets and, very important, side zip for additional ventilation. So this is the perfect setup for high intense activities during the winter, but also during the mid-season. So now I have to go, otherwise I will never reach the top.
Thank you, Andrea, for that report. And now, as you can see, I have stepped out into the garden. And the reason is I wanted to tell you why Rosendal has special significance for us at Houdini. And the reason is that we can't really go there right now, but a little bit over this way, we have our clothing compost. And it's a test lab to see that our circular wool garments really are circular. We opened it up about a year ago. We stuffed it full with Houdini base layers. And now, a year later, they're vanished. Or rather, they've turned into healthy soil and compost matter. And the people at Rosendal can, in the spring, use it to grow their flowers and fruits and vegetables. And that just makes us so happy, because it shows that when we talk about circularity, it's not just talk, it actually works. The compost here at Rosendal is an extension of a project we did a few years back called Houdini Menu. And I'm going to show you a short film now that I think really shows the beauty of circular design and tells the full story of our circular wool base layers. So let's take a look at that.
This is a taste of the future, to be able to cook from things we recycle.
I think for Houdini, it's always been about creating something which is pure enough to have a continuous life.
When making this fabric, the process was quite long. It was several years, actually, because we didn't want to compromise between the function and the aesthetics. So we mixed merino wool with other biodegradable fibers.
I have been composting since more than 40 years, but never textiles. It's important that you do not use material which contains toxic substances, because it can destroy the process and it makes the compost material unusable.
So to be able to make something biodegradable, we really question the base layers that we do and to make sure that they're pure enough. And by only putting naturals in there, which belongs in nature to start off with, we can also bring it back to nature.
The soil from the compost, you can use it as a perfect fertilizer, perfect soil improvement, and it makes your growing much more healthy than otherwise.
Houdini's clothes feels very down to earth and honest, so the challenge was to capture that in every dish. what we could do was, for example, make a broth from the mushrooms. We could dry mushrooms. We could smoke mushrooms. So we tried to put all of that together into one dish.
Det blir ju väldigt konkret när man ser gamla kläder bli fina måltider på en tallrik.
Coming from a completely different story and coming back here in our plates, that is really something amazing.
In our bigger vision, we somehow want to create this positive company that just contributes to the world rather than taking it from it.
So why did we feel a need to reimagine wool? On a societal level, we've designed a faulty system. We're designing products that are made to be discarded, and we're creating a huge amount of waste. Society has been okay with this, as long as their convenience has been taken into consideration. But at Houdini, we don't compromise with design. Not for the user, not for us as a brand, and definitely not at the expense of our planet. First, we stopped creating hybrid fabrics. Secondly, we phased out all the polymers, making sure that everything is natural. Leaving the Houdini products today being, all the wool products being 100% circular, only using natural materials in there, which are fully biodegradable. Which leads us into my favorite wool piece, the Désolé series. It really embodies how comfort and performance can be provided by nature. It comes from, it's built up from a 17.5 micron wool fiber. It is created from an AME traceable, nature text treated fiber, so we know where the fiber comes from. And also, the fiber has only gone through mechanical processes rather than chemical ones, making sure we're not adding anything to it. Yet keeping all the benefits of what you gotten used to, being able to wash it at a higher temperature and allowing you to really feel comfortable wearing it, just like in nature itself. After choosing the fiber, we really wanted to push the limits of what the fiber could do, to keep that natural stretch and strength of the fiber and building that into a fabric. And this is where our development team and our supply chain team, together with our suppliers, really shines. We tried an endless amount of combinations, using different threads, different seams, different stitches per centimeter, as well as the tension of those, to create a product which feels like it's not existing. Because the best products are the ones that you really can't feel. And the only thing that sticks to you is those memories of your adventures, rather than the ill-fitting base layer. They're perfect for skiing, for hiking, and for any kind of low-pulse activity. But where they really shine is where you start pushing it in stop and start activities. So to sum up the Houdini wool philosophy in 3 points. 1, keep it natural. By not adding any unnatural treatments and not mixing it with any synthetics, we're able to create products that last for long, keeping all the natural performance benefits as well as the sustainable benefits of wool, making you keep the anti-odor properties, a fabric that regulates your warmth really well, but also at certain products keep its weather resistance completely undiluted. Secondly, make it purpose-driven. Wool, in its right form, in the right construction for the right activity, is an amazing performance fiber. And thirdly, use it as a system. That's why we offer the Houdini wool products from everywhere from base layers to insulatives and to shells. With that, I'd like to hand over to Emma to see if you guys have any questions about how we treat wool.
Hi. There's a lot of questions in the chat. I will pick a few out to begin with. There are a few questions about our fabric production processes. Arta asks, fabric production process is well known for its high level of pollution. Do you work with your fabric suppliers to reduce this? And if so, what are the steps that we take? Which I think is a great question.
Thanks a lot, Emma. And Atle, really great question. This supplier that we're working with this specific piece, the Desoli, is a partner in Lithuania who's working very strongly with it. So strongly so they actually was the first factory in the world to sign the new Greenpeace notion of trying to improve themselves. So I think that's a super important part of where we are. Any other questions, Emma?
Thank you for your answer. There's another question about washing at high temperatures. How do we ensure that the wool garments don't shrink when we wash them?
For us, it's basically the different treatments that we do. But if we dig a bit deeper into the Naturetex treatments, it's basically the scales of the wool that are creating this felting, and in a lot of times also the shrinkage. And by using this Naturetex treatment, which is a mechanical ultrasonic treatment, it slowly shaves off those shells, creating more of a smooth fiber, penetrating those and allowing the fibers to move smooth in between each other. And by doing that, they're not felting each other, allowing it to be washed at higher temperatures. However, I would always recommend you, from a bigger perspective, to wash them cold or in 30 degrees, just in terms of the holistic approach towards sustainability. They'll get clean and you'll have a great product anyways.
Great. Here's another design-specific question about colors. How do we choose the colors and the names for them? It would be really interesting to hear about the process and our most favorite colors over the years. Can you maybe share a little bit about how we work with colors, Jesper?
Definitely. Thanks, Emma. Great question. It's a quite complex one. Let's first start with choosing colors. We work slightly differently with how we create our color palettes, trying to always look at 6 seasons simultaneously to make sure that we're not planning any aging within how we create our color stories. Because the colors for us is a really important part. Being able to create colors where you feel like you can stand out where you want, blend in when you don't, but also really find those favorite colors, allowing you to create products where you want to keep them for long, to help them to become your companions. Secondly, for the names, I think that's more of a lucky guess kind of context. We get usually a theme for each season, but they're with a much more diverse logic than one might think. So if you come down and join us at one of our color parties in the future, you'll find out more about that in detail. Anything else, Emma?
One more question here from Lance. Are our wool garments using the printing of our logo that is biodegradable? So I guess the Houdini logo on our garments, if that one is biodegradable as well, which I think is a great question.
So, great question. We've done a few different trials, and we're a bit more in depth in that development phase, where the logos which are sitting on these garments are not. So we recommend you to cut away that together with the threads. Looking at the testing we've done up until now, the biodegradable threads or the tensile threads are not keeping the same durability as the rest of our garments, making them be worn out faster than anything else. And this is also the case for the logos. It doesn't stick as well. So we're still in the development phase of that and hope to have an update for you very soon.
Thank you, Jesper, for that answer. But now we're going to talk about hoodies. I'm actually holding here a power hoodie from the first batch that we launched in 2003. So we've had the hoodie for the power hoodie for almost 20 years, and it's really one of our most popular products. Since then, we have extended the family into more materials and more details and fits, but the technical outer hoodie is really what put Houdini on the map. And to be quite frank, I think that nobody knows hoodies like we do. But now I'm going to tell you the story about how it all started, when this beautiful piece of garment saw the light of day for the first time. I don't know if you remember what sportswear used to look like back in the late 90s, but let me remind you. It was bulky, it was heavy, it was designed to look and feel rugged and sort of hardcore. And I think I dare to say manly as well, because it was designed to sort of 99% extent by men for men. So when Houdini took on the challenge of creating the ultimate mid-layer to wear underneath a shell jacket, what happened was that we found a fabric that was really smooth and stretchy and therefore extremely comfortable. We used a fit that was closer to the body so it could easily be layered. We also needed something with a very high abrasion resistance so that the garments you wore wouldn't tear up each other. We also wanted a timeless look and sort of dropped all preconceived notions on what sportswear was supposed to look like back in the day. And then we designed the Power Hoodie. And I'll be honest with you, when this was first launched, it wasn't an instant hit. It wasn't a success from the start because it didn't really feel like what people were used to. It didn't look what people were used to. But those who dared to try it, they instantly fell in love with the fit, the comfort, and that it just worked and kept on working. And since then, as I said, we still have people that use these hoodies from the first batch, and that makes us really proud. By now, we see a lot of sort of siblings or cousins or versions of our technical fleece hoodie on the market, but I still think the original is the best. It has sort of completely redefined what we expect from a fleece jacket in terms of comfort, in terms of performance, and not least in terms of longevity. We did a customer survey, and it turns out that people use our Power Hoodies on average 10 years and over 1,200 uses, and that's on average. So I think that tells a strong story. But now, enough of history. It's time to see what goes on in the hoodie department for Fall 21.
Thanks, Axel. By heart and soul, we are driven by innovation. And this new part of the Houdini family is no exception. It was created with one purpose in mind, to fight microplastics. Microfiber shedding from the synthetic clothing is a problem. And we don't know to what extent yet, but we know that there's a lot of research going on in the field. And hopefully we'll know more about it soon. But what we do know is that it is a problem. And about 8 years ago, we first set out to try and change that and to challenge that problem. What we came up with is what we have today. The Power Hoodie was leading the industry. So together with our innovation partner Polartec, we set out to challenge that norm. The result? Fleece Reimagine. It's quite the complex knit construction, but it can be simplified into 3 different parts. All parts are created by monofilaments. So you have the face, a recycled polyester monofilament that is coated in hard face to create that rugged outside. That's knitted together with the backer, which is also a monofilament recycled polyester. And together those are creating pockets. Pockets that are trapping air and are also then filled with a third component, also a monofilament, holding that air in place and boosting that pillow with a little bit of loft. And those pockets are holding air because that's the absolute best insulator there is. The result? A product that sheds up to 5 times less than our very best fleece and the very best fleece in the market. Amazing. Let's have a look at the model, at Evelina, who's wearing the Mono Air hoodie, and to Kalle as well, who's wearing the Power Airs. You can see they're resembling to one another. With the Mono Air hoodie, we really wanted to use those identifiers of comfort that we've gotten used to. The snug collar around the face, the cuffs around the wrists, which is something that people are getting used to and are providing a great amount of comfort. But with the Mono Air hoodie, we wanted to create a durable face that makes you comfortable even if your best friend is made out of sandstorm. As you see on the inside, if you open it, Evelina, the small bubbles are trapping air, but also the small voids in between the bubbles and your skin are trapping air, making it even more insulative. Due to the characteristics of the outside, it slides really smoothly into your shells and becomes a really astonishing layering piece. The same goes for the inside, making it a lot smoother than your traditional rugged fleece, allowing your base layer to move in and out of the mid layer even faster, making this an ideal product for high pulse activities where the inside of those bubbles really pick up the moisture quickly, but also allows the airflow to keep you at the regulated temperature at all times. I am sure, just like the Power Hoodie, that this product will grow into one of your companions. It will become a product that is your go-to piece that you throw into the bag the first time around. And let's have a look at some images from our friends on adventures like this, where the Power Hoodie has become just that, a companion. Let's have a look at the next movie.
I want to thank all of you guys that sent in images to make this little film happen. I hope you're watching, and my deep thank you. And I can also see that we have such great activity in the chat. I'd love it. So I would like to ask Emma again if she has any more questions for Jesper before we move into our shell layer segment.
Thank you, Axel. We do. You guys have some questions. So first off, Jesper, are the zippers of the Mono Air Hoodie recyclable?
Thanks, Emma. Great question. We've chosen to use polyester zippers, but we also chosen to use metal endings of those, seeing over a long period of time that the durability aspect of those metal endings are just extending the lifetime of the hoodie a lot more. So the metal endings are not recyclable, but the rest part of it is. And if you look at the people coming in today, the hoodies from our Power Hoodies has been out in the outdoors for a long period of time before they're getting worn out. So that feels like a good choice so far. Any other questions, Emma?
Great. Thank you, Jesper. We have one more question from Sarah. What are the post-consumer options for recycling the Mono Air Hoodie?
Thanks a lot, Emma. We've actually done lab testing on this, mimicking the commercial way of doing recycling on a piece like this, just to make sure that it can be recycled. Today, we're stacking up all the different garments that we get back into our stores, making sure that they're sorted, making sure that the synthetics and the biodegradable parts are not mixed, to be able to then send them out for recycling and make something even greater out of them.
Do one more.
Great. Thank you so much. I hope that answers your questions. We have a few more general questions, which I think we'll maybe get back to at the end of the chat. Let's see. There's another question here that's also about recycling. How do we design them to be recycled?
For us, it's super important to design for circularity. We look at it from two different parts. We have the technical side, and we have the biological side on the other hand. And we never mix the two, making sure that we can continuously loop either the technical products on one side as well as the biological on another one. Looking at it from a fabric perspective, we're pushing that to be completely circular in 2022. But also going through all the different components of each individual garment, making sure that all of those bit by bit are looped into the same system, making sure that the products can become products in their next life as well. I hope that answers your question, Emma.
I hope it does too. Let us know if it doesn't. We can get back to it. We actually have one more question about dyeing processes and jumping back to wool. How do we use the dye for our wool garments? Is it natural dye?
So today we haven't achieved full natural dye. What we're aiming for is to really eliminating the chemicals in there, and Malin maybe can later on speak to the full process of this. But what we've stepped up and done is to eliminate all the metal complexes in there, making sure that it becomes something which can go back to nature again, looking at each individual part of those chemical processes, and for that to become a recyclable and biodegradable process. We actually have the composters Axel showed us doing tests, as well as third-party labs, making sure that what's in there when the garments are finished with the dye is not toxic. Thanks, Emma.
Thank you so much, Jesper. I hope that answers your questions. Let us know if you have any more and we'll get back to you. So with that, Axel, do you want to take over?
Yes. So now we're going to talk about shells. And not just any shell, but our sort of state-of-the-art shell, which is the roller coaster shell. And when it comes to the roller coaster, we want to talk about something that most people usually never even think about, which is pattern construction. And pattern construction is the art of cutting and constructing garments. And the roller coaster has a very special story when it comes to pattern construction. But as we are fortunate to have our design master Jesper here, he will take us on a short master class in design and pattern construction.
Thanks, Axel. When we first started looking at shells about 9 years ago, we found two things which we wanted to improve on: comfort and sustainability. We worked with the materials processes to achieve a greater result for those. But as Axel said, we also wanted to look at something else, the pattern cutting. And we really wanted to reimagine pattern cutting. As you see on the image, this is the conventional way. It's two-dimensional. Patterns are drafted on a flat surface, trying to mimic how it would look on the body. This is basically how the industry has been creating patterns for the last 200-300 years. But we wanted to move from 2D into 3D. On your left, this is how flat lines look on a body. You see the chest line, the waistline, the hip line, all static lines, designed to look amazing when you stand still. But how often does that really happen when you're out in nature? Maybe unless if you're a bird watcher. We wanted to create a 3D version of it, allowing us to take different patterns of movement into consideration. So together with a professor of pattern cutting from the Swedish School of Textiles, we studied patterns of movements from the outdoor and created a method to create patterns for garments directly onto a moving body in a qualitative way. Rather than using the static lines, we identified a new grid of dynamic lines and points, which you can see here now on the right. I can talk for hours and hours about this, since we did a rough estimate and I spent around 4,200 hours of studying it. But I will keep today to 3 clear user benefits. The first one out, the right amount of fabric where you really need it. By draping garments in 3D rather than cutting them on a table, we could directly identify how much fabric and what fabric was needed at each point of the body. No excess fabric that created bulk, and a feeling of initiating movement even before they happened. The second part, natural stretch where you need it. Another added benefit lays in the foundation of the woven construction of the materials itself. No matter how rigorous fabric is, you always have one direction with more give, the bias. You have the warp, the width, and 45 degrees from that, you have the bias. You can see it in the image here on the right, where the black and white lines represent the grain line, differently from the left. Especially if you look around the shoulders, the elbows, the butt, and the knees. Adding give and natural stretch without adding stretch fiber, keeping them recyclable. And the third one, less seams and seams where you really want them. The third added benefit is in the fewer amount of seams needed. Fewer seams, less weight, less weak points, and a better durability in the long run. Looking at worn-out products, you can clearly see that at the seams is where they break, and it's very strong. It's very seldom that the weave itself is torn up. So to the conclusion, this is how it all comes together. On the left, the roller coaster jacket, and on the right, the roller coaster pants, slowly draping around the body. Or in an even nicer way, as you can see it here on the models. Given the new freedom of Made to Move, we used our friends as guiding stars in terms of what the features we wanted to add into the garments. You have the helmet-compatible hood, you have the underarm vent zips, as well as the integrated zips across the chest. This new grid, or this new freedom, allows us to place them in different ways and to play with our design. The same goes for the pants, where we can integrate the pockets, as well as integrating the vent zips in a new way, creating a massive back 5 ventilation, which becomes more of an active ventilation as you start touring up. And for the second part of this, we really wanted to materialize this product in a different way. And just like with all our shells, we wanted it to be smooth, soft, and silent, just like our power hoodie. So that was what we told the technical engineers, but also that we wanted public space-like durability. We got a bit of a laughter, but that set the norm for the shells that we're doing today. They're all soft, smooth, silent. They're made from recycled polyester, recyclable polyester, from the face to the membrane to the backer, using our Atmos membrane with a 20K performance. And they're blue signed. And all of them are also featuring a fluoride-free DWR, making sure that there's no toxic chemicals in there. And with that said, I'd like to hand over to another smooth ride, the one that Junior has done in Japan, featuring a movie from our Japanese friends. Please enjoy. Such an inspirational movie. It really makes me think about colder temperatures, and that leads us naturally into our next segment, insulated shell. This is the new moonwalk jacket. In many ways, a pretty normal Houdini garment. Our regular customers would feel pretty familiar with it. But what's normal for us is far from normal within the industry. A lot of the times, things we take for granted are exceptional for others. Let me run you through the 4 principles on how we design insulated shell. First, a circular design. Made from recycled polyester and fully recyclable, we use post-consumer plastic waste to create an exceptional performance garment. And those resources never has to become waste again. The same goes for all Houdini insulated garments. But trust me, if you walk into your average sportswear shop, that's not the norm. Second part, feather-free. We don't believe in stealing birds' feathers. So instead, we use cutting-edge performance synthetic padding from Primaloft. Light, compressible, even warm and wet. What more can you ask for? And at the same time, we don't harm any birds. Third part, fluorocarbon-free. We phased out fluorocarbons for more than 2 years. It took a lot of work, but for us, it's a given. The fourth, cutting-edge performance. A lot of people believe that designing performance garments means that you need to compromise. A lot of people think that creating products for the planet means that you need to skip out on performance. But for us, it all comes as a holistic package, making sure that if you compare our garments with the best in the industry, they hold up to warmth, to lightness, and to durability. Which moves us into, if you compare this, it's a pretty normal jacket, as long as you're comparing it with the best products in the world. But if you look at designing for both the planet as well as for the users, we're quite far ahead of a lot of our competitors. So looking at this specific jacket, what stands out, what makes it special? It's really about the fabrication and the materialization of it. Having this C9 ripstop at the sleeves and the back, allowing you for great breathability. The more weather-resistant spinner ripstop at the center front zip, allowing you to move fast, but also to use it as a really versatile garment, allowing you to wear it on top of your face pants as you go touring, but also as an insulation underneath your shell in other occasions. Let's move over to the next one. Here you see the moonwalk shorts. Intuitive, check. Warmth where you really need it, check. This is an updated version of an all-time favorite, just like the one Niklas mentioned before. But now it's circular. You might think a pair of shorts is not the optimal winter garment, but this is where you're wrong. Get a pair and you'll start to wonder how you could ever live without them before. Wear them under your shells, or just like Evelina here on top of a pair of tights for extra reinforcement where you really need it. They're materialized with the Power Air Light that we talked about before in the Mono Air hoodie, padded with the Primaloft Active Gold Plus, just rolls off the tongue. And on top of that, you have the C9 ripstop, blocking the wind a little bit more and breaking the wind, creating an optimal balance. With that said, we'll move into a really exciting product here. First out, I'd like to talk a little bit about the padding which is used in there. It's called Primaloft Rise. And that really changes the game of insulating padding. Before, puffers were an exception for people who were willing to compromise with down. Now, Primaloft has helped us change the game. On conventional paddings, all the fibers lay on a horizontal way, but there's only to a certain extent that you can build loft that way. When you reach a certain point, it's just the weight that starts bringing the pile down, and you're not adding any more loft, but purely weight. By changing the direction into vertical injection and how you connect the fibers, you've created a completely different game. A loft that has a higher retention rate, that bounces back when you put weight on it, and basically bouncing away the cold from the body. So let's bring in the jackets and have a look at them. With no further ado, the bouncer. As over the top as you will ever see me as a minimalist go, this is Houdini's interpretation of the extra everything expedition jacket. Maximum warm, minimum weight. That's the basic idea. The warmest jacket in the history of Houdini. We put a massive effort into all those small details that makes the garment feel better to wear. The stretchy, smooth fabric over the shoulders, making it water resistant in these areas, combined with a light and durable spinner around the stomach and the back, making it an optimal air trapper, because what we really want to carry is air, and that's the optimal insulator. And to keep all that air in and the cold out, we created heat barriers. Heat barriers around all the areas where you usually feel cold and let cold air out. So you see them around the opening of your hood, you see them around your neck, as well as your sleeve endings and the bottom hem, making you stay toasty basically. And on the inside you'll have massive stash pockets for stashing gloves, or like our friend Mange would have said, perfect for a couple of bottles of wine. I hope you're watching. All insulated shells are recycled and recyclable. They're fluorocarbon free, and they're all done without stealing any bird feathers. They're really made for those days when the weather is challenging us, when the temperature goes below freezing, and they really excel in climbing adventures and these kind of experiences. But don't take my word for it. Let us listen to my son, who has done a movie showing it up in Åre. Thanks a lot.
Hello, my name is Marie, and I'm the store manager of our Houdini hub here in Åre, where is the biggest ski resort in Sweden. I received this jacket from the headquarters a few weeks ago, called the Bouncer jacket, and it's going to be a winner. I really like it because it keeps me so warm and so light, and you don't feel like a penguin in it, and still mobility, and the fitting is perfect. If you want to have a backpack or something, it's just, yeah, it's still nice. And as you can see, it's a little bit longer here, so it keeps your butt warm. And a perfect good hoodie that you can really close it in if it's windy, as it is in Åre, like all the time. So this one is gonna keep me warm this winter, and it's so light and it's gonna be perfect. That's all for me. Thanks. Sorry about that. The speech was perfect. Cozy hood. I can see it. Hey, Boomer. Do you want to be in the movie too? Do you want to be a movie star?
I am a movie star.
Yeah, I'm a movie star. My name is Marie, and
This is my co-star. Thank you so much, Marie. And we hope you didn't mind us using all the takes you sent us, not just the last one. That's it for the product presentation, actually. So we want to give a big clap to Kalle and Evelina, our models. Thank you so much. And now we just have some time left for questions and answers. And I know we're running a little late, so if you need to take off, I will say thank you for watching. But all of you that want to stay for a little while, I have Hanna and Jesper with me, and we have also Emma around. So now we're here to answer your questions. So maybe we can go to Emma and see if we have any questions in the chat.
Hi. You guys are asking a lot of questions, which is great. I think we'll take them one by one, and I think I'll start with you, Hanna. We have a question about our garment production in Europe. Are the garments for F21 still planned on being made in Europe?
Yes, they are. I mean, we are producing mainly in Europe, 99%, and for 421 it will remain in Europe. It's very important for us to look into the quality, of course, but also make sure that all the social conditions are correct. We are doing quality controls and so forth. But in the long run, we don't exclude any production anywhere as long as it's the high standard that we require. But in Europe for now, yes.
Great.
Right. What else?
Let's see. We have one more about recycling. Where do we recycle our garments when they come back to us? Where do we send them, maybe?
It's a great question. We've done one send back to Japan back in 2006. And this is perfect, the right camera, sorry about that. And today we're storing them for a while to make sure that when we ship them over, it really makes sense. The technology is there, we've proven that already, and now it just needs to make sense to do it again with the right amount of fabric. We're looking at some different alternatives. There are some initiatives going on in Europe which would make a lot more sense for us, but the technology is still there in the Far East. But at the moment there are some political reasons why things are not being able to send like they used to, where people are classifying resources as waste and hindering some of that. But we have a great track on some opportunities, and when we fill up our warehouses, we are certain that we'll be able to have a really good location to go to.
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
Maybe, Jesper, that I can elaborate a little bit on that, because when it comes to recycling, just as you said, it requires a lot of transports, and hopefully, because right now in Sweden we have no national recycling for fabrics. We have metals and glass and plastic and paper, but none for textiles. So it's really, in this case, Houdini sort of being a few steps ahead of the rest of what the authorities do. So I think it's and it's probably very different in different countries even. So when it comes to recycling, just as you said, right now I feel like we're mostly sort of taking everything in and make sure that nothing goes to waste, and then when we find the best solution, we can bring even more into recycling and actually start. Is that the right?
Definitely, but we also need to make sure that we're designing for recycling or for circularity, because I think that's the important part in here, not just bringing it in, but we're actually designing for it.
Yes, exactly, because a lot of garments. Let's say if you buy a new Houdini jacket now, it's not going to be relevant to recycle it in 10 or 20 years. So designing the product right from the start is an important.
Yeah. One thing that is worth mentioning is, of course, that if you want to recycle your garments, you can leave them with any of our retailers, or you can send it back to us.
Yes.
So.
We have recycle units in our physical stores, but we also accept anything that you guys want to send in to us. And sometimes people ask us, why do you only recycle Houdini garments? And the answer is that because Houdini garments, we know what's in them, which is a big problem when it comes to recycling, that a lot of the time you don't even know what's in a garment. So maybe you want to add something to that, Jesper. But
yeah, and we're actually working on some projects both on a national level and a European level of creating a classification where you can really use the same standards anywhere. More on that soon, hopefully within short.
Yep. Okay, Emma, do you have anything else from us in the chat?
We do. I don't think we're done yet. Let's see.
It's gonna turn dark here.
It just might. We have a bit more general questions, which I think would be really interesting to hear you guys' opinion on. Start with this one, maybe. With climate change creating more extreme weather events, there's a lot more need for functional clothing for everyday life. Do we have any plans to design according to that?
It's thanks a lot for the question, Emma. I think it's a really great one, and it really lies within our design philosophy to start off with. We believe in creating functional-driven garments that works in the mountains, but we also believe in creating them through the lens of minimalism, allowing us to wear garments in more occasions and feel comfortable doing that, not having an outdoor wardrobe, a go-to-work wardrobe, and a stay-at-home wardrobe, but one wardrobe that works for all activities. So hopefully you'll find already some favorites in our collection as of today. If not, please explore a little bit further, or use the chat we have within the ecom platform to get more inspiration on those kind of topics. Do you guys want to add anything to that?
No, I think you said it.
It's good. Yeah.
What else is out there?
What else is up? Let's see. Here's another interesting one. Is it not a contradiction to rely on sustainability, for example, with merino wool, even though you transport wool from different parts of the world, for example, from Australia to Portugal for processing and then distribute it all over the world? So I guess if there's a contradiction in the global supply chain that we use to create sustainable garments.
Maybe I can start answer that question, because what immediately comes to mind is we read a research report done a few years ago here in Sweden, where they did a full life cycle analysis on a garment, and it showed that actually, and this is, I'm not saying this to sort of excuse anything, but that the transports during the production is a fairly small piece of the whole pie if you look at for example, climate impact. So how you make the garment, how you make the fibers, what treatment it goes through is actually a much bigger piece of the pie. But maybe Jesper or Hanna, you want to help me answer this question further.
I think it's a really cool and a challenging question for sure. And for us, it's really about to look at the holistic picture, anywhere from how we design them to how we transport them to how people use them. And I think looking at the user phase just as well as the transportation and creation phase is super important for this. And that's also why we did the Planetary Boundaries report, to really investigate and go through all the different steps. What kind of fiber makes sense where in the world? Because wool can be a really great fiber if it's created in the right place, if there's the right amount of sheep in a close relation to the right amount of forest and so on. If not, then we're off. So it's really important to dig deep into those, but then also to question the way we use it. Using merino today, for instance, brings down the amount of water use later on in the process in terms of washing as well, allowing you to wear an individual garment more times before you wash it. So we need to help our users through the whole process, and we don't believe that our responsibility stops when we started creating the products. That's why we do rental, that's why we do subscription services, but also repair and reuse services, allowing the garments to get not only one life, but a life after this one.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because when we do get a lot of questions, like which fiber is the best one when it comes to sustainability, and there is not really one answer to that, because all production has an impact. So one really important piece of the puzzle is to design stuff that lasts, and also offer people ways to prolong the lifetime of the garments. Did you want to add something?
No, I think it's the Planetary Boundary report. It's a very holistic report that we've done on Houdini as a company, which I think I see it's some really advanced questions in the chat.
Which is awesome.
Fantastic.
Our customers are smart.
And therefore I think we could send out that report also. So please read it, and it's super important. I mean, the garments, of course, that they are circular, but also the whole ecosystem around the garments, meaning then the transportation and so forth. It's something that we are working on every day. So.
And if you look at our bigger vision for 2030, it's something that we'll maybe tap into later, and we were hoping on having a seminar later on, but it's also about stepping beyond circular garments, looking at that ecosystem of how can we create something which is truly circular or truly regenerative, where our transports are looked into and are completely fossil-free by 2030. That's something that we can't create on our own. It's something that we need to do together with all of you guys, our suppliers, our partners in the industry, and we need to create that shift, anywhere from transportations to the energy we use in our factories. Yep. So it all becomes a bigger puzzle, but we all together need to lay it bit by bit, and then slowly we'll get there.
Yeah. So you really opened up the Pandora's box with that question. As you can hear, we could talk about this for hours. But the short answer is, like, we haven't really solved transportation yet, but we're definitely working on it. Now we need to bring in some more. Maybe we have some product questions.
Let's see. I think we opened Pandora's box in the chat as well, because you guys are asking a lot of questions that we could maybe follow up on. I don't know what we're at time-wise, but otherwise we'll do our best to answer the questions in the chat directly. But you can always email us as well, or find us on social media if you want to talk more about this. Like we said, we can discuss this for hours. A product question coming in from Asia, actually. Do we have anything specifically suited for more tropical weather in the new line?
Great question, Emma. I think it depends on what you mean by tropical weather, but I think the pace for us is a full year-round product, and I think that will become, for some friends in Japan, going up hiking in the winter or ski touring in the winter would be great. We try to look at, when we do the collection, we try to look at it from a 12-month perspective, ranging products that can fit through all different parts of the world all year round. Then, since we have a distribution network today, which are slightly shifted towards that, we cannot offer all products at all times. But we still hope that you'll find some great additions to the line for you guys there as well.
I can add to that we have, the last couple of years, I would say that we have started an international journey for Houdini, and of course we are from the Nordic countries. It's starting to get cold here now, and but we have a great summer and spring and summer collection, which is excellent, I think, for tropical weather. So please look into it.
Yeah. We need to round off soon, because this greenhouse, it's going to be a photo shoot here later. But maybe we can do just one or two or three more questions.
All right. I think we have one more question here from Natalie, which I think might be interesting to discuss a little bit more. She says, more sustainable products are on the market today at a lower cost, and not everybody can afford the more highly priced products that are maybe sustainably designed. How have we thought about a more affordable range, or a way of reaching everybody rather than people who can afford higher priced products?
Thanks, Emma. That's really a great question. For us, we need to look at the whole system. And if you look at the markups and the margins that we have today, we're not making more money than anybody in the industry, rather less. We need to make sure that everybody is paid on our journey, and that's where we end up with the product costs today. So it's, as long as we're not cutting corners, we're not creating lower price products, basically. Yeah. And I think that's an important part to know, but also to educate around that it costs really to make the right thing today. Sometimes it's not rational that virgin polyester is cheaper than a recycled one, considering all the drilling and transportation that goes into that. But if you look at the industry as a whole, that's the way. For people creating sustainable products at lower price ranges, I'm being intrigued to figure out and to look more in detail and depth about how they're doing it. But to my knowledge, we can't do it at any lower stage than what we're doing today.
I can add to that a little bit. We are also elaborating with new business models, such as rental, for example. It's local at this point because we are doing it from our stores in Sweden, but it will become digital. So that's a good way to try out the products for then a lower cost, of course. We also are selling reused garments, which are, I think, a really good way of trying out the garments, and also for a reduced cost. Fantastic garments. I mean, they are all durable for many, many years. And we are also looking into subscription, which is also a good way to, where you are not owning the garments then, but you could clearly use them, and you pay a monthly fee or so forth. So look out for that going forward. And
then I can just add another thought, which I guess is if you look at a lot of Houdini products, there's no compromise when it comes to functionality. So if we test a padding, it needs to be at the very highest level of performance. And that often means a little more expensive, right? So maybe I'm just sort of thinking now, but maybe there is a way of creating sort of simpler garments, but that are still sustainable. But I don't know. Maybe you can.
Depends on what you classify as sustainable and in what kind of genre. And if you're looking at the outdoor industry, the sportswear industry, or the textile industry as a whole, they're for sure products with different kind of needs than what the ones we have, anywhere from tablecloths to bed sheets and so on. But I think it's really important to look at durability as a big part of sustainability.
Right.
Products that are made to last for longer, no matter whether you're a mountain runner or if you just like to drink coffee in the afternoon. So I think durability aspects, both in terms of style and aging products with beauty, is an important ingredient of that. And that's why you need to have the best fibers and the most durable fibers as well.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
That makes sense. Yes.
Okay, now we can do one more question and then we need to round off.
All right. We still have a lot of unanswered questions in the chat, so I'll hang out a little bit and try and answer most of them still. But maybe one last question we can answer on screen is about the production of our garments as well. Where do we mainly produce our garments, and do we know what energy we use, the factories use?
Who wants to start?
Yeah,
We've sort of touched upon this a little bit, but
I mean, 99% of our garments are made in Europe, and many of our production plants, they use solar energy and so forth, which is fantastic. So
what does Europe mean more specifically?
where in Europe?
Yep.
Yes, in the Baltics, it's big. Poland, Portugal.
Yeah.
That's, I think, yes.
That's where it's focused on, and then we have a pilot, as we see it in Asia, where we do one style today. It's just to find a balance and to keep an eye on where the production is happening today in the world. And as Anna mentioned before, we want to look at it holistically, and depending on where we grow in the world, we need to adapt towards that in our production line as well, going back to transports, making sure we're not shipping products for the sake of shipping them, rather than creating them where it's the optimal place in the world.
Yes. And of course, like all this info, I think that we have, the Houdini team will stick around in the chat and try to answer everything. And infos, for example, about production countries, you can always find on our website, just as the Planetary Boundaries report you can find on our website. But now we're done for this first event today. And as you might have noticed, if you maybe let's say you came in halfway through the show, then we have a late event as well. That starts at 6 p.m. Central European time. Or if you just want to watch it again. I mean, I know a lot of people probably will. But thank you all so much for tuning in. We love you, and we couldn't do this without you. So thank you so much, and take care, everyone.